Hi, my name is Stacy Cervenka, and I'm the director of the Iowa Department for the Blind. I'd like to share some revisions we're making to the policies of our Adjustment-to-Blindness Center. The Iowa Department for the Blind has a proud legacy of innovation and high expectations in blindness rehabilitation. Our agency pioneered the use of learning shades to aid students in mastering non-visual skills in cane travel, braille, technology, home management, and industrial arts. To stay at the forefront of innovation, best practices, and informed consumer choice, we regularly reevaluate our policies to reflect what blind and low vision Iowans need and expect from their state vocational rehabilitation agency. In accordance with these values, a task force has been formed to update the Adjustment-to-Blindness Center handbook. As a result of our discussions, task force members recommend updating the center's learning shades policy in order to offer consumers greater flexibility and choice and to empower staff to apply their professional judgment and expertise. These updates will also bring the center's sleep shade practices into line with other IDB divisions and programs. I'd like to share a quote from Kenneth Jernigan, who was one of the pioneers of the structured discovery movement. He was the Iowa Commission for the Blind, which is now the Iowa Department for the Blind director from 1958 to 1978. In a letter to Iowa Governor Robert Ray in 1974, he said, "If the atmosphere is such that the student must be required to wear the sleep shades, use a cane, or employ any other technique, the value is probably lost. At the heart of the matter are the subtle and often unrecognizable attitudes about what blindness really is and what it really means, whether the blind person can truly compete on terms of equality, whether he can actually perform as well as others, and whether he can really be a full-fledged, first-class citizen with all the rights and privileges and also with all of the responsibilities." First, I'd like to talk a little bit about the benefits of learning shades. Sleep shades help people focus on and develop non-visual techniques. Sleep shade utilization teaches students that non-visual techniques can be as safe, effective, efficient, and effortless as visual techniques. By removing reliance on their limited vision, students learn that their independence and success are not defined by how much vision they do or don't have. Sleep shades prevent clients from gaining misleading visual feedback, such as when students have incorrect depth perception or are distracted by shadows. Required continuous public use of sleep shades, and necessarily therefore a white cane, can help some students overcome their shame over the stigma associated with blindness and cane use. Paradoxically, developing non-visual skills can lead to more effective use of residual vision. A person can decide when their vision really is effective and when non-visual techniques would be safest or most useful. So you may be asking, why are we considering changes to the center's sleep shade policy? Well, it all revolves around consumer choice. The center can accommodate around 20 adult students. There are currently 5. We average between 3 to 5. As of today, there are about 469 students in our vocational rehabilitation program and only 5 at the training center. This means that there are 464 VR clients who are not receiving intensive training. We believe that these new policies would allow more clients to receive the intensive training they need to get the jobs that they want to get, to maintain their employment, and to be independent in their communities. We have 6 two-bedroom apartments off-site, which is 12 bedrooms. With only 4 students, we are paying for 4 unused apartments, which means 8 unused bedrooms. When told about required learning shade use, some consumers either choose no training at all or choose training out of state, while others choose in-home instruction, which is usually about 2 hours of instruction every 2 weeks. This is not equitable. For comparison, a student receives 40 hours of training a week at the center. At 2 hours every other week, it takes a student 40 weeks to get to the same number of instructional hours as 1 week at the center. So if a student is receiving 2 hours every other week, that means it would take them, again, 40 weeks to get what 1 week at the center 40 weeks of in-home instruction to get what 1 week at the center can get them. This is particularly inequitable for blind people with additional disabilities and physical and mental health conditions that make learning shades use unsafe, unfeasible, or inadvisable. Our current policy has an adverse impact on multiply disabled people. What adverse impact means is that obviously we certainly never started out wanting our policies to disenfranchise people with additional disabilities. But as they're currently structured, they do. All Iowans who lose their sight should be able to attend their tax-funded training center without feeling forced or coerced to do something they don't want to do. Our clients are adults. We want them to be empowered to decide what they're going to do with their bodies and with their rehabilitation. Now, we do believe in learning shades. So here are some techniques we've discussed to encourage students who come to the center to use learning shades. Ramping up. Begin using sleep shades in only one class or for a period of time at the end of each class. Work toward greater use. Some students may choose to use sleep shades at first only in Braille, and then maybe move to also technology, and then maybe home management. And finally, travel. Start easy. Have a hesitant student sit down at a table wearing sleep shades. Ask them to identify objects you hand them by touch. Ask them to identify sounds they hear around them. And then say, see, this isn't so hard. You already know so much of what is going on around you. Challenge zones. Some centers offer challenge zones. Students who are reluctant to wear shades pick a different class to be their challenge zone, to which they wear shades each week. Suggest starting out with Braille and then technology to build comfort. Learning moments. A student puts on shades only when a specific skill is actually being taught. For example, in home management, a teacher might say, okay, what if you keep your shades off while you gather all the ingredients for the recipe on the counter? But when you're going to actually pour the milk or cut the tomato, let me show you how to do it non-visually. Another example might be in cane travel. Okay, you don't need to wear your shades while we're walking down the sidewalk, but how about when we get to the corner, let's put them on and just listen to traffic and find out what we can tell about that street just by listening. Here's an example for an industrial arts or shop. Okay, why don't you keep your shades off while you gather your block of wood, the square, and your scratch-all? But when it's actually time to cut, how about if I show you how to do it non-visually? Often, when students start with the learning moment technique, and instead of having to wear shades for 2 or 3 hours at a time, they're only being asked to wear shades for 5 minutes at a time, intermittently throughout the class, they're able to build up to greater levels of comfort. Specific day, students choose to challenge themselves to wear learning shades on a specific day. Students may choose to increase the number of days they wear learning shades. Try them and then decide. Students agree to wear shades for 1 month and then decide whether they are finding them to be a beneficial tool. After that month, students may choose to continue wearing them full-time during certain classes or days or not at all. Last 3 months, this is becoming popular at more and more centers. Students agree to wear shades for the first 6 months or 2/3 of their training. For the last 3 months, or 1/3, they receive all instruction with shades off and learn how to incorporate the non-visual skills they've been learning with their vision. This is particularly helpful for people when they're learning to really trust the non-visual skills they've learned, and that these non-visual skills really work even when you take your sleep shades off. Skill proficiency unlock. Students agree to wear shades until they reach a certain level of non-visual proficiency. Then they learn how to continue using their non-visual skills along with their vision. The final technique is first without, then with. Students learn how to do tasks they are afraid of, such as boil something in hot water, use a grill, cross a busy street, or operate a power tool first without shades so that they understand exactly what the task involves and what they are being asked to do. The task is still taught in a way that does not require vision. Then you say, you got it. Now I want to teach you the non-visual way to grill a hamburger. So a student might grill the hamburger first and understand what exactly this grilling process involves. They might think, okay, this giant ball of flame is gonna, rise up off the grill. So having them kind of understand what it is that you're asking them to do can be really helpful, and then saying, see, you got it. Now let's put on the shades. All right, so here are the recommendations that we are making. So, place number 1, the Orientation Center for the Blind is a non-visual training program. Therefore, all center students who have residual vision, even light perception, are encouraged to wear learning shades during the training day, which runs from 8 o'clock a.m. to 4:30 p.m., Monday through Friday. We find that wearing learning shades significantly speeds up the development of non-visual skills by reducing a student's reliance on their limited vision. The second place it appears in the handbook. While we highly recommend using learning shades in all classes to maximize skill development, we recognize that every student has unique goals, circumstances, and learning preferences. Therefore, each student will decide whether using learning shades is appropriate for their goals in each individual class. Finally, students are encouraged to discuss learning shade use with each instructor. Together, they will explore whether and how shades might support progress toward a student's individual goals. So that is what we are recommending. Now, our center currently has a comprehensive track, which is an immersive, full-time training program that prepares students for every aspect of independent living and employment. Students take our full curriculum of classes, including cane travel, home and personal management, Braille, industrial arts, technology, career preparation and planning, and seminar. Most students complete the program in 6 to 9 months. We are also going to be offering a new track or program called the Specific Skills Track. Students choose the combination of classes they take and the length of time they stay. Our specific skills training can be customized to fit our students' lifestyles and goals. Whether it's 1 week, 1 month, or longer, we'll help them choose the classes that fit their needs. This can be extremely helpful for people who are losing vision while they still have jobs. Often, someone comes to us who, is currently employed, they are beginning to lose sight, and they feel like they need to leave their job. However, once a person leaves their job, the chance that they'll ever be employed again goes down quite a bit. So it would be great if they could come attend our center, like take, 12 weeks of FMLA leave and use that FMLA leave to attend our center for 12 weeks and then go back to their job, possibly with some additional in-home support to continue learning the skills that they've begun developing at the center. This can also be really useful for students in college who are on summer break, students who would only like to take 1 semester, or somebody who's perhaps mid-career that just needs sort of a technology boot camp, or someone who perhaps graduated a comprehensive program, 10 or 20 years ago and would like a refresher in Braille. So students can choose which classes they take in consultation with their counselor. And students can always add more classes. If they come to the center and they feel like all they want to take is Braille and technology, there's a very good chance if they come to the center, they're going to say, wow, that shop class sure looks like fun. I think I'd like to take that too. And we feel like students are much more likely to take additional classes if they're already at the center than if we tell them, no, you can't come to the center unless you take all of them. So if you have someone who says, Stacy, I really only want to take Braille and technology. If I tell them, no, you have to agree to all 5 classes, that person is now at home. They're not at the center. There's a very good chance they'll never come to the center. If I say, absolutely, welcome. We're excited that you want to take Braille and technology. There is a much better chance that they're going to see our students who are in shop. They're going to see our students in home management. They're going to see our students in orientation and mobility. And they're going to say, that looks fun. You know what? I might want to give it a try. Can I give it a chance? So students in the specific skills track can, of course, always choose to add more classes or transition to the comprehensive track. We have been providing center staff. Center staff have been engaging with directors and instructional staff from the following blindness rehabilitation centers. These centers all have thriving student populations and recommend and encourage sleep shade use, but do not require it. We look forward to learning from their varied approaches. the Chris Cole Rehabilitation Center in Texas, the Sacramento Society for the Blind, and the Virginia Rehabilitation Center for the Blind and Vision Impaired. This also brings our the center's policy into alignment with other IDB divisions, such as our Independent Living Division, our Pre-Employment Transition Services, and our Vocational Rehabilitation Division, all which use policies that are similar to the one that I've recently described. We're very grateful for our Iowa Department for the Blind consumers and community organizations who have been asking us questions and providing us input over the past 2 months. We had a 90-minute listening session on this policy with the Iowa Council of the United Blind. We presented a more detailed version of the PowerPoint I just showed and had opportunity for questions and answers and commentary and dialogue with the National Federation of the Blind of Iowa. They received the PowerPoint in advance, and they asked that instead of our leadership team showing the PowerPoint, that they engage in a question and answer format with us. So we had a 90-minute question and answer session with NFB of Iowa. We then had a second listening session with the Iowa Council of the United Blind, not specifically on this policy, but on our programs and services and policies in general at their state convention. We have also held 2 directors' forums, one in July, one in August, which were very well attended by members of the community, where they learned a little bit more about this. We also took a survey of our vocational rehabilitation, independent living, and OIB consumers, and we were happy to find that about 40% of them, sleep shades had no impact on their decision to receive training or not. About 35% of them said that they would be likely or much more likely to attend training if learning shades were recommended but not required. So we appreciate all the excellent feedback that we've gotten from our consumers, who are really our target audience for this. I mean, they're the ones that we have to hopefully convince to come to our center. And also from community organizations and from staff and stakeholders. If you have any additional questions or you'd like to share comments, please reach out to our Chief Information Officer, Connie Mendenhall. And thank you very much.